Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. Today we're talking about the race quotas over at Star Wars. This is a rumor coming from thatparkplace.com, also the source of this story, Woke Marvel doing massive X-Men race swaps, and the source of this story, Woke Toys Not Selling. Great website, thatparkplace.com, and a great contributor, WDW Pro, who has an insider connection with toy manufacturers that have been in the industry for a very long time. And that really is a great way to get to understand what's actually going on with the big companies a couple of years down the line before they make their PR announcements and kind of announce what they're doing and couch it whichever way they can. And the reason why that's important and why that's useful is the manufacturers of these toys need to know what the heck is going on so they can plan what they're going to make, what they're not going to make, how much of what they're going to make, and they also need to know what the characters obviously are going to look like. That's where this insider information comes from. Rumor, the Lucasfilm character diversity grid. Let's find out what's going on at Lucasfilm. Before we do, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up when you like it. You guys have been really, really great. The channel is doing great thanks to you. I really appreciate it. A toy industry expert and insider with more than 3 decades of experience at a Disney merchandising partner has been leaking information to thatparkplace.com for quite a while. Now the level of spice is being cranked up by more than a little, according to their anonymous source, whose identity they've corroborated but keep anonymous for purposes of protecting their career. Lucasfilm has a very interesting system going on behind the scenes. It lines up with other things we've seen and heard out of Disney, specifically out of their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, quote, Reimagine Tomorrow, and quote, Stories Matter. Very diverse, very focused on their progressive ideas. There are sources telling them that Lucasfilm maintains a diversity grid system for determining diversity ratios, also known as quotas, throughout their programs. Just as interesting, the source who works with researching market reactions to franchise toys has informed them that Lucasfilm's diversity grid does not differentiate between white or Caucasian. So, Namor is considered white. And Latino or Hispanic. So Latino, Hispanic, white, Caucasian, it's all the same thing to Lucasfilm. As a result, Lucasfilm properties supposedly can use a Latino or Hispanic character in lieu of a white character and still fulfill their, quote, white ratio. On their diversity grid, which is not written down but is part of discussions at Project Ground Zero, so that's like the bottom line of when they're planning their projects, the very basic foundation. Latino Caucasian count as the same thing, so basically Diego and Andor is considered Caucasian because he hits 2 birds with 1 stone. Totally crazy, I have to agree. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Did you think that they were doing something like this over at Lucasfilm? You kind of think probably they would, but that it's that much of, it's all wired in, and it's that hardwired that they can't even consider cast members and stories unless they fit a certain progressive agenda of, skin color and race. Furthermore, having too many white characters in a show or movie is allegedly not permissible. And apparently that's part of what caused major changes in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney+. Can you imagine? This is how they're making their content decisions and their story decisions. Having the show be about Anakin, Luke, and Obi-Wan in the original script treatment had resulted in a show that was deemed too white, too male. As a result, Luke had to be cut out of much of the show in favor of Leia, even if the narrative didn't make terribly much sense with prior lore. Why would people be disappointed? Why would fans be disappointed with something like that? They can't quite figure out what to do over there. Boy, are their priorities messed up. Also, since Darth Vader and Obi-Wan couldn't be dismissed easily, significant screen time was allocated to a woman of color. It's not that diversity is bad at all, of course. It's that good stories with characters fans love can't be had if they're, quote, too white. That seems nonsensical, and it is complete nonsense. Yet stories, movies, and merchandise all need to reflect this diversity grid at Lucasfilm. An international merchandising agent had the following to say to their source. White men are so rejected at Lucas that they would not authorize a TV show starring Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, and Luke Skywalker. It was forbidden because there were too many white men. Even though they knew less people would watch and buy, they had to rework and delay production to replace one character by a female character. Again, the author feels diversity is a wonderful thing. I think it's fantastic too. It's just, you have to be realistic. You have to tell good stories. The story has to come first. The fans have to come first. But with all things, a concept taken too far, it can become malignant, as this diversity, equity, inclusion push obviously has become. Water is healthy and should be used to hydrate, but even water, if taken in excess, becomes toxic. This is true. Do not drink too much water. Speak to your doctor for more information. The sun is a source of life, yet sitting outside in July with no shelter from rays of sunlight will cause pain. So too is diversity. Everything needs parameters and limitations. Having a diverse background for people working in and around a project is wonderful. But if you can't tell a great story with great characters because of diversity, you've not constrained the concept to its appropriate usefulness and limitations. Imagine if Wakanda Forever had to have some artificial quota of Asian characters that made Wakanda be not so much about Africa, but about multiculturalism. That would be an artificial change in the story in a way that isn't appropriate. When Luke, Obi-Wan, and Anakin can't be featured in a story due to a diversity grid system, there's obviously a problem. It's reasonable. This is coming from Okiro on Twitter. It's reasonable to be frustrated that Kenobi, once a film then a show, wasn't given the same care or budget as Andor, especially with it being the return of two legacy characters after 17 years. Of course, it isn't just Lucasfilm, as they've documented. This unconstrained paint-by-number system of setting arbitrary race quotas seems to extend throughout the Walt Disney Company. How are they supposed to cast the right people? Because you don't always have someone who's appropriate for a role just based on how they look. They're supposed to be doing actual casting based on the talent and the skill set and the appropriateness and the experiences of the actor. Not this, okay, you look short, you look tall, you have the wrong race, you got the right race. At Marvel, the mid to long-term future is for certain key projects to be balancing acts. Continue down the current Society of Tomorrow path, but with just enough wider appeal factors, some male characters that register hetero romances, maybe even including canon Caucasian couples, to hit a decent bank. Imagine a She-Hulk line of toys. Yeah, that would not work. With a desperation pitch on licensed being, hey, look, we gave you Daredevil. The core audience really like him, right? He should sell, right? Okay, after initial ship, just do solid cases so the Tatiana figures won't stick to shelves. So they mix the desired characters with all of this other undesired characters. That's something we covered in this video, and they covered in an earlier story. Taking licensed producers for fools. They really want to do both their social objectives, but with, and this is the key guy at Disney, 20 years at Disney told him, they want to do the society, but also sprinkle enough sugar to make the medicine go down. English is not his first language, but it's a good metaphor. It is a good metaphor. Seeing a Marvel show or film will be like taking medicine, but it will be grape flavored, so you won't spit it out. Many people have spit out that medicine. Let me know if you have in the comments below. A lot of people put in the comments they've been done with Marvel since after the last Avengers movie. Imagine the added difficulty they're setting for themselves when making a successful run of projects is already difficult enough with this single objective to entertain, as if it's easy just to make a movie to entertain. There are many at Disney who legitimately believe the Society of Tomorrow stuff is actually a growing pain to a building what will ultimately be a larger audience, and that they just need to, quote, stick with it, albeit compromise a bit, but not too much, in order to make more money in the long run. They couch this marketing talk of broader appeal. Broader appeal is the phrase. It's not broadly appealing. For now, it seems Disney leadership has not given up on their idea of replacing the Chinese market with this broader appeal approach. That's the heavy representation race approach system that seeks to grow revenues at the cost of legacy characters and fans. We only wish they could do all of this under the obvious umbrella of financial impetus, which is what Warner Bros. Discovery is doing. They're focused on the money rather than the faux virtue signaling. But maybe there's hope given Bob Chapek's recent mushy responses to direct questions about wokeness. Well, we've covered that. And basically Bob's Chapek's response is, oh, wokeness? Well, no, we're not woke. You know, we just do what people want, like the same way we have for 100 years. He's not a good liar, that Bob Chapek. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Does this diversity grid at Star Wars make sense to you? You know how I feel about it. I can't hide that. Would like to know what you have to say, though. Always appreciate your comments. They're great. And I try to read every one. And please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up when you like it. And I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.